Hello again and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, please don't shy away from hitting the like button or leaving a comment telling me how fantastic I am at making YouTube videos. We won't at all talk about the 15 hours it took me to edit my first fine art atrocity either. What I really want to talk about today is the Burning Crusade. It's what I love to talk about all the time. More specifically, choosing your class in the upcoming expansion re-release. We all know that in an MMO, the lens through which you view the game is the class you're playing. There are a lot of guides out there to explain the intricacies of each class and specialization. They'll give you ratings and stats and all of that hullabaloo. I instead would like to focus more on just a couple reasons for each option, and what makes all specs fun and viable in TPC. I say play whatever spec you want to play. The only rule is, you better play it to its fullest. I would also like to preface this by saying that there are a lot of anti-melee fun-time mechanics in TPC, so melee stacking will be nearly impossible, especially early on. Anyways, enough with the intro, let's dive right into it. Starting first with the one I would be least inclined to play, though I certainly see the appeal, Rogue. Rogue has a lot of high-impact moments in PvP. If you want to gank noobs in the open world, or if you want to be in the top brackets of Arena, play Rogue. As far as PvE is concerned, rogues are certainly viable. However, having more than one rogue in raids really provides nothing for the group as a whole. This doesn't discount their DPS potential at all, however. Rogues can pump with gear and rotational precision in mind, of course. One of the bigger benefits I see to playing rogue, and the only reason I would consider leveling one, is stealth farming. Going into dungeons and freely collecting uncontested gathering nodes will give you a huge edge over the competition on the market. And if 5 instances per hour cap is rolling over to TBC, you can spend some of the extra time in your lockouts pickpocketing for a little extra gold per hour. The gist of this one is, if you want to ruin a lot of people's gaming experiences in the open world, which a lot of you seem to want to do, and potentially get Warglaves of Azeroth, play Rogue. Next we have the Mage. Any spec you choose has its place, however Fire and Arcane have absolutely crushing PvE potential, and Frost is really just meant for PvP. With the launch of TBC, you no longer have to dedicate a large sum of time to being a vending machine. Now you just make a wellspring of magic protein shakes for everybody to consume. Yay! Just don't forget your reagents. The Mage has a lot of power in every scenario, from PvE to PvP, but also has great gold making ability. Arlaeus has a lot of videos on how to achieve this, even with the new AoE cap introduced in TBC. I'll have a link to his channel in the description below. I, however, would never be a filthy mage. They get everything they want. But seriously though, I played too much Mage in my early days of this game and have since not had even the slightest desire to play one. Summation, you want to be good at everything except healing and tanking and look stylish while doing it? Master of the Arcane is yours for the picking, my friend. Introducing the one, the only, Warrior. The classic king or queen of everything. They had it all in vanilla. My, how the mighty have fallen. I compare this a little to Mike Tyson's career after the cannibal incident. With so many other specs being made viable and bringing real raid utility, the Warrior went from being the most overpopulated spec in the game to what will likely be one of the least played overnight. Most Warriors I know only play to zug meters because they're trisofts who want huge payout for little to no effort. Classic Warrior envy aside, they aren't as bad as I make them out to be. Arms Warriors have huge crits to slap bosses with, while also providing a 4% physical damage taken debuff in the form of Blood Frenzy. The downside is that you only need one of them for 100% uptime on this. Protection Warriors are the main tanks of your raids. As such, they are entitled to every piece of loot that drops, only to immediately quit playing right after they get Warglaive and Bulwark. Y'all do know the story from vanilla regarding Thunder Fury. Drama aside, Protection Warriors have a ton of mitigation built into their kit. Shield block, shield wall, last stand, block parry, and dodge, making them especially tanky in early content. Sorry to give you such a small section, Fury, but you only see play in the later tiers of TBC, and only really if you are blessed to receive Warglaves. If you want to play a slappy boy with big critties, or the hefty shield version to get all the loot, Warrior is your class. And now for the Warrior's holy counterpart, Paladin. This class is packed with options. protection paladins are an absolute must for dungeon farm groups and trash packs and raids. They have immense amount of AoE threat built into their rotation. Retribution spec is a pretty strong melee DPS spec with a lot of utility to survive mechanics and help your raid do the same. They also refresh the seals from your other paladins, which is the primary reason you want one of these holy avengers. And the Trinity, of course, would not be complete without talking about the resident nuke healer in TBC. Holy Paladin. They have no formal raid healing capabilities at all, but they do excel in hitting tanks with huge sparkle showers. Ideally you want 3 paladins, one of each spec in your raid for these 9 reasons. Both Holy and Ret also do quite well in arenas, however, they won't be at the top of the brackets in this category. If you want to play a Divine Warrior of the Light, far be it from me or anyone to tell you no. I personally will have the Walking Flashlight as a low-level dungeon farming gold printing machine. Let's talk about the Priest. Priests have a Trinity spec system as well, the Father being Holy, with its massive raid healing potential through Prayer of Healing, Prayer of Mending, and Circle of Healing. It's hard to imagine a raid without at least one of these heal bots. Discipline. The Sun is a super toxic mana burning, smite spamming, bubble slinging, bratty PvP powerhouse. Quite the fun spec to play, and not at all fun to play against. PvE potential is not so great with this spec, but Power Infusion will help your hunters and warlocks get to the top parses. And lastly, the Holy Ghost, Shadow Priest. For PvE, they are incredible mana batteries for your caster groups while performing overall good damage. You want at least one of these in the raid, with many arguments to be made for 2. This spec also has a ton of PvP potential as well. Looking for a divine time? Play Priest. On now to the jack of all trades, master of none, Druid. When I say master of none, I only mean it a little bit. This class is packed to the brim with capability in every role. Bear tanks have a ton of health, a ton of armor, and dodge rating that scales very well into the late game. They are arguably the warrior's best off-tank partner in raids in this regard, and their personalities always seem to fit together too. When they aren't taking hits from the bosses, they can turn into a kitty and scratch their way to the upper part of the lower third of the damage meters. And speaking of kitties, if you want to have the most complicated rotation classic TBC has to offer, this is your spec. Maintaining bleeds and power shifting for energy regen is a gamer button matching dream. The Boom Chicken does very strong caster DPS as well. I will mention though that the crit buff for casters is the only real reason you would bring this spec over another Warlock or Mage. Restoration, the legend healers of Arena, and a very strong PvE healing spec option for the Druid. This is a very strong option if you're a fan of throwing sprinkles on your friends all day. Druids in general also have massive gold making potential and should be everyone's go-to for gathering in the open world thanks to casting Flight Form. If you are undecided on what you want to play even after this video, just play Druid. There is fun to be had in every spec. Alright, enough dodging the bullet, or arrow, whichever you prefer. Let's talk about one of the 2 main chart toppers in TBC. The Hunter. In order to tap into your chart topping potential, however, you must be willing to play only Beast Mastery for the entire expansion. An early rush to the Beast Lord's 4-piece set from Dungeons will make you god of the logs very early on, not to mention the scaling factor for Beast Mastery. Marksman has some huge 2-shot potential in PvP though. And likely no one in your hunter group will want to play this, but you need at least one, the Survival Hunter. They come with the Expose Weakness debuff and should be given Thoradol for being willing to do so much less DPS than the beastie counterparts. If you're a meta bot who likes simple rotations and a low gear requirement, Hunter is the play. And now on to the second top dog for PvE. Not second on the meters likely, but just the second we're talking about right now. Warlocks. Affliction Warlocks provide solid damage output while also applying improved curses on the boss. Destruction Warlocks can viably be played either as Shadow Destruction or Fire Mage, Destruction. Both of these options only easily top meters, with the only real competitor being Hunters. In PvP, SLSL Warlocks are nearly unstoppable, especially with their trusty Resto Druid sidekick. You want everyone to want you in their groups for every type of content? Do you like being the resident emo kid? Warlock is the only answer for you. Now, I don't save the strongest for last here, but I do save my class for last, because it's my channel and I'll do whatever I want whenever I want. The Shaman. My spec of choice will be Elemental. All three specs have a ton of capability, but the Elemental Shaman is my darling spec of this expansion. We got big old critties and lots of them, plus we provide huge caster buffs through totems. Enhancement Shamans provide massive melee DPS increases as well. Plus you can throw a two-hander on and make flashy one-shot Wind Fury videos for no one to be able to replicate because two-handed Wind Fury procs are so unreliable. Resto Shamans are arguably the strongest healers in PvE. They have chain heal and single target health toppers, and they also have a totem that refunds a massive amount of mana to your healing party. You want at least 4 Shamans in the raid though for Bloodlust. So you can't be raidless with this one. Now with all that said and done, I want to reiterate that this video was not intended to tell you specifically what to play and what not to play, but to give you an idea of what you can bring to any group environment. I highly recommend you play whatever you enjoy and are good at. Beyond that, just let the chips fall where they may. In TBC, everyone has a place, and you shouldn't miss out on enjoying arguably the best iteration of World of Warcraft Blizzard has yet to offer. Hey classic guys, let's maybe not take the fun out of this one. So come join the Pantheon at twitch.tv/godoflulz to experience the joys of TBC together. I'm also willing to answer more in-depth questions regarding your class here as well. So spam lightning bolt on the like button and subscribe to watch more WoW related content. Until next we meet, brave travelers, farewell.